Why hello there, and welcome back. This time around, we're going to be sculpting a muscular girl character in Blender from scratch. So let's get started. As usual, all of my brushes have default settings except the crease brush. And we're going to be starting off with a UV sphere. And we're going to be doing the usual shenanigans. By the way, for anybody who's wondering, what about that reference in the background? How do we get that? Well, as always, feel free to join my Discord server. If you go to the Tips and Tricks channel in the server, you'll be able to find all the references from this video. We're going to subdivide our starting UV sphere twice, and then we're going to be continuing sculpting. Just going to be using a basic grab brush to just kind of get the shapes according to the references. And as always, in the bottom left corner, I have enabled the add-on that allows you to see all of my hotkeys and stuff, so feel free to check it out. After getting the basic shape, we're gonna remesh it. I'm aiming for about 50k vertices, usually. After remeshing, you just smooth out all the shenanigans, and then we can start adding the details. This video is only going to be focusing on the body itself, so there's not going to be any hands or feet, and there's also not going to be any head sculpting. If you are interested in those kinds of things, I do have videos dedicated for hands and feet and also heads as well, so feel free to check them out on my YouTube channel. Just keep in mind that the anatomy that we're going to be sculpting here is going to be stylized. Pretty much all of my characters are stylized. So keep in mind that the anatomy is not going to be exactly fully, super realistic. It's going to be, stylistic with some elements that could be a little bit realistic, I guess. But most of it is just stylized. Here I made a small mistake. I started adding the detail using the inflate brush instead of the crease brush. So I undid it and then I switched to the crease brush and did it again. So yeah, I'm gonna be using the reference in the background very heavily. You will see me very often switching in X-ray mode so I can see the actual reference behind the character. One of the questions that people sometimes ask me is, why don't I just block out every part of the body as its own mesh, you know? Why do I sculpt everything on one mesh? And it's mostly just having to do with personal preference, really. And also it's a little bit faster by just doing it on one mesh. If you have like, I don't know, let's say 5 different meshes just for the torso, you gotta switch between them, you gotta like, sculpt them all individually. And yes, you will get better precision, and usually you will get things to look better. That's true. But my method of just kind of doing it in one mesh is a little bit faster, and it's also the way I prefer to do things. So it's just a personal preference. Sometimes actually, when I want to practice anatomy, I do actually block out, the body with like a bunch of like, pieces so that I have better precision, and usually it's better to practice that way as well. So now we're going to be actually moving to the legs. Just going to be a regular cube that's going to be stretched out, and then a little bit of subdivision and mirror. Add a couple loop cuts here and there for the knees, calves, and thighs. And once I kind of position everything manually in edit mode, as you can see, I'm just doing stuff in edit mode, I will apply the subdivision modifier, and then I'll go into sculpt mode. Also, I kind of wanted to mention this. This might be a little bit late in the video, but I just remembered it. For those people who are trying to join the Discord server, and you might be having some issues, you might not be able to join the server because of some like weird, Discord issues, feel free to copy the actual URL for the Discord invite, and then copy it and then just paste it directly into the Discord app itself. Because sometimes when you try to like open up the URL in the browser, it just doesn't work for some reason. And in those cases, you just basically copy the URL, open up the Discord app, and then just paste it manually in there. That's basically what most people have told me that works to bypass the issue. As you can see here, the legs are kind of low poly, and we're trying to crease these pieces on the legs, and they're kind of looking very low poly. But don't worry, later on we'll remesh it or subdivide it, I don't remember exactly, and it's going to look smoother. So yeah, that's fine. So keep in mind that you see me sculpting the butt right here. I am not using the smooth brush at all. It's all done with the grab brush, because if you try to smooth the butt and then try to inflate it, it's going to look very lumpy. So you don't want to do that. So basically just be patient, only use the grab brush, maybe a little bit of inflate here and there. But yeah, don't smooth it out because once again, it's gonna end up being very lumpy. And well, obviously you don't want it, you don't want that kind of look. And same things go for the breasts later on. You will see me basically just using the grab brush and a little bit of inflate, but no smoothing and like basically no other brushes, basically just grabbing and inflating. Because if you try to use other brushes, once again, you're gonna get very lumpy stuff, especially if you're using like clay strips or stuff like that. That stuff is gonna give you a very lumpy stuff, and you just don't want that. And sometimes when it comes to like breasts and butt, they're kind of like pretty easy to just remake. So instead of just trying to like, fix them and, trying to like make them look better, and spending a lot of time on that, just feel free to, delete it and then just start from scratch. Because like in most cases, you're probably going to just, fix it faster that way than trying to, trying to fix it, when they're lumpy and stuff like that. Oh, by the way, in the reference, you might see that the butts are kind of very close together, like the butt cheeks are very close together. But in the actual video itself, you notice that I gave it like a gap, and I didn't like fully like, push them together. And that's because later on we're going to be remeshing them. And I don't want, basically sometimes when you remesh objects, they kind of like for example, butt cheeks, they kind of like combine together. And basically to not have that issue, you just kind of like put the butt cheeks kind of like further apart, and then you're not going to have that issue. And then later, after remeshing, you can actually kind of, inflate them together so they're, a little bit more squished. And you might, I think you're going to see me doing that later on in the video. So then for the belly button, I just did a very quick grab from the inside, and I just kind of smoothed it out and then creased it. For anybody who's wondering, what about the obliques? The obliques are actually going to be done near the end of the video. So yeah, it's going to be done, but just, near the end. When I was copying over this reference that we have in the background, I wasn't really going like one-to-one. Like I wasn't trying to like, get it like exactly the same as a reference. I was just kind of basically using it as a guide. So yeah, if you're noticing that there's not, there's like some differences, that's on purpose. So for the shoulders, once again, we're gonna make it its own mesh. I used to actually make shoulders by just kind of grabbing the blobber brush and just kind of like inflating around the shoulder area using the blob brush. But then I realized that you actually get much more control by just grabbing like a cube and then subdividing it a little bit and just kind of manually modeling it and then applying that subdivision and just kind of sculpting it from there. And these shoulders are very multi-purpose because not only are they just shoulders, there's also like this, they're also representing the clavicle bone right there. And also at the back, they represent those shoulder blades that you're going to see me sculpting in just a second. So it's a very multi-purpose mesh. The shoulder blades are kind of sticking out there a little bit at the back, but that's fine. Later on, when we remesh it, I'll kind of smooth that area out and just, you know, make it look good. But yeah, so far they're kind of sticking out, but, you know, that's fine. Once again, with the hands, it's a cube, rotated, and subdivided. This part is kind of looking very scuffed. I tried to fix it as much as possible, but then I realized, you know what? Later on, once I remesh everything together, I'm gonna have more density, and I'll be able to fix it. So I'm just kind of trying to fix it, you know, inflating things, trying to get them as close as possible to the actual shape in the reference. But as you can see here, it's kind of looking very scuffed. So I just try my best, and then I realized that, you know, I should just leave it for later. And yes, she does have massive arms. They're massive. So, same thing I said for the butt, I'll say it again. When it comes to making breasts and butts, and you're using this method that I'm, you know, showcasing right here, do try to, you know, be as be careful when it comes to, like, you know, using the brushes. You just want to use the grab brush and the inflate brush. Using other brushes will just make it lumpy and stuff. So yeah. Now, usually when it comes to muscular girls, you know, they're like fully, you know, muscle, right? They don't have a lot of fat. So usually their butts and, you know, breasts would be pretty small. And that's true. But, you know, this is like a stylistic character, so, you know, might as well try and have fun. And, you know, make the breast a little bit bigger, and same thing here for the butt as well. So yeah. For the neck, just grab a cylinder, remesh it, smooth it out, and just start adding a little bit of detail there. I used to actually make the neck just by like extruding the body a little bit, but now the neck it's basically its own mesh, and usually it allows you to control things a little bit better and stuff like that. Now, once again, I will remind that this video is just for the body, so there's not going to be any like head sculpting or arm sculpting or feet sculpting and stuff like that. So this is just the body. If you're interested in you know, that other stuff, I do have videos for that as well, so, you know, feel free to check it out. So at this point, it's time to combine all the pieces together. I just added a little bit of subdivision to the legs, and same thing for the arms, booba, breast, and basically just subdivided everything a little bit, and apply all the modifiers, and then select everything, combine it together, go into edit mode, fill in all the holes. You can easily do that by selecting non-manifold, and then pressing F to fill them in. And now that there are no holes, we can go to sculpt mode and then remesh it together. And usually I go for about 800,000 vertices or below. It doesn't have to be 800,000, you know, maybe, you know, lower than that. I think this one had like 600,000 vertices. I could be misremembering. And now that everything is together, you just saw me there kind of inflating the butts together, so they're closer together. The butt cheeks, I mean. And then I'm just kind of smoothing things out, you know, fixing all the seams and stuff like that. Trying to make everything look a little bit more sharper. I think at one point, I don't know if it already happened, I might have missed it, but I think I changed the settings for the crease brush, so it's a little bit sharper. I might do that later on in the video, or I might have already done it. But yeah, smoothing things out, creasing them, making them sharper. Oh yeah, I think this is where I do it. Yeah, here we go. So basically I just increased the pinch and I also lowered the strength. That's very important. So lower the strength, increase the pinch, and that's going to give you like sharper lines. Here I'm pushing the hip bone a little bit to the front. I should have also pushed a little bit to the left, or to the outer sides, I guess, but that's fine. And then I'm just kind of like, you know, adding a little bit more volume where the thighs meet the hip bone. Because we changed those settings for the crease brush, now we can get these like nice and crispy lines. Oh, there you go. I'm just kind of moving the hips kind of further away. I should have done that a little bit more, but yeah, it's fine. We finally get to fix the arms here. So I think at this point, it's time to do the obliques, which is definitely one of those parts that still gives me a lot of trouble, and I know a lot of people also have trouble with them. Usually the way I kind of like do it is I start with this like zigzag pattern first to kind of establish where they meet up, because there's kind of like two pairs of obliques, the lower and the upper obliques. And kind of doing the zigzag pattern allows you to kind of like, you know, figure out where you need to put them. Now, at one point, I do start to kind of like do a little bit of a, you know, quote unquote stylistic slash, you know, fantasy, you know, muscles right here around the obliques. Because in real life, they're not exactly like this. So yeah, this is the part where I start doing that, just to kind of add a little bit of cool detail and stuff. I'm checking the reference, you know, multiple times just to, you know, double check, you know, things, see how I want to place them. Once again, I'm not going exactly for the same look. I'm kind of trying to get like a different style, I guess. So here I was having a little bit of trouble with the actual geometry itself. I didn't really have enough geometry to add these lines. They would just kind of like, you know, warp and, you know, do things that I didn't want. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should try remeshing this. So I remeshed it and I looked at it and I was like, you know what, nah, let me undo. And I basically undid it. And I continued sculpting just with the geometry that we already had. here I finally noticed that the actual backside of the hips needed to be actually, you know, inflated and fixed. But yeah, we're pretty much at the end of the video. I'll take this opportunity to thank you for watching. And once again, if you're interested, I do have a Discord server. So feel free to, you know, join it if you want to ask questions, or if you want to, you know, see my full portfolio. It's all there. And you can also post your own work there. And yeah, I also do have a Twitch stream. I stream almost every day. So, you know, the links are below in the description. Feel free to check it out. But yeah, I'll be seeing you guys next time. Take care. Good luck. Bye-bye.